Welcome to Epic Power User. In this session, we're going to talk about creating comparison reports using the batch feature. Once again, I'm starting you out on our website, teamapproach.com, to remind you that you can find your login from wherever you are. If you can remember teamapproach.com, we have a login link right here on our home page, which will take you to the URL for Epic. Today I'm using our primary Epic account because we actually have a project that's going on that I'm going to be using the batch feature for, and I'll show you how this works. What I have are a number of folks who are going to be in a workshop for which we want to create comparison reports between a random pairing. In this case, we're not concerned about matching people up specifically for working together, but because we want to teach the concepts. So I'm going to use a batch function and show you how to do a random pairing. So I'll go to batch functions, create and generate comparison reports. Now when you do this, you will get this notice, which you can get rid of and not show again, but it is reminding you that this particular feature is both creating these new reports and then generating them for printing. And the reason this is here is because if you have already created or reports earlier and now all you want to do is go back and generate them for printing, you would not use this feature, but instead you would go to batch functions, generate reports for download, just as you would if you had a number of any of the other reports that you wanted to do as a batch. In that case, you would just find the reports that you want because they're already completed and they're in your system, and now all you're doing is generating them for printing. But in this case, we've not yet created these reports, so we're going to create and then generate them for printing. So remember, when you get this little warning, what that's all about, study it for a moment or two to make sure you don't end up with duplicate copies of the same comparison report in your Epic system. So obviously what I'm doing here is comparison reports, so that's what comes up when I go to the next screen. And as usual, I'm going to decide where I want these reports to be stored once they are created. And since I'm working with the client, I'm going to put them in the folder that I've created for this client. I have two choices. I can compare one person with one or more other members of a group, which you might do if you just wanted to create comparisons, let's say, between a team leader and his or her team members. But in this case, I want to compare all members of the group to each other. Now, I'm not actually going to do all of those comparisons, but I'm going to show you how to do some random selections. But if you had a small team, 6 or 7 people, you may want to create those right here. So I'm going to choose compare all members of the group to each other. And I can select reports from anywhere within the Everything Disk suite of products. In this case, I will be using the workplace profile. I'm choosing English as my language because I might also have some Spanish ones in my system. I'm going to go to the folder where my participants from the workshop are going to be found. And I'll say search. Once again, this is a reason for creating folders and subfolders, so it's very easy to find the people that you're looking for. I have 21 people on this list, but there are really only going to be 20 at the session. But rather than going through and checking them all one at a time, I'm going to just select all. And then when it gives me the list, I know the person who's not going to be there, so I will just remove that person from the list. And now I have 20 people on my list. And once again, I could check list, make sure that I do want everybody, and in this case I do. So I'll say next. And what it's going to do is give me all the possible combinations of those 20 people. So you can see all of those are laid out for me, and that would end up with 190 pairs. Now obviously that's not what I want for this session. I just want a random comparison between two people so that we can teach them how to use this particular product. So in this case, I'm going to uncheck all. And I'll start with the first pair. I'll take that first pair. I see Anita and Cindy are the first pair, so I'll scroll down. I don't want Cindy now because she's already with Anita, so I'll go down to my next pairing, and I see I've got Julie with Ruby, so I'm going to go down. I don't want Ruby again, so I'll continue down. Now I've got Allison. I don't want Anne, so I'll go down through where Anne is being paired up. These are all the possible pairings. Now I have Anna Maria with Renee. Scroll down. I don't want Renee because I already have her. I do want Susan. I can scroll past Brenda, and then I can pick up Jennifer, scroll past Karen. You can see the list is getting shorter because of all the possible pairs I've already got. Linda with Monica, and then Crystal with Paige, and Robert with Suzanne, and finally there's only one pairing left with William and Sharon. So now I will select those. And it's working on my selections. And by the way, if we did not have an even number, I would have had to make two pairings with some people, so I'd end up with a threesome, but that's not too hard to do either. So here are my possibles. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which makes sense because I've got 10 times 2 is 20 people. So now I'll say next. And I'm going to give this batch file a name. Okay, and I want to do these in color. Next. And that's telling me once again what I'm going to be doing. The file name is going to be a zip file when it's finally completed. I'll tell it to generate the batch. It will give me an idea of how long this is going to take depending on how busy the system is. And at this point, if it is going to take a while, which in this case it's going to be about 5 minutes, what I could do now is I could just leave the system altogether, and when it is finished, the Epic system will send me an email message telling me that my batch file is ready for download. I'll come back to, under Manage Accounts, I'll come back to Batch Functions, go back to Manage Existing Download Files, and here you can see the one that I've already set up. It's in the queue. It hasn't started working yet, but if it were finished, if I had already gotten the email, I would see my file here. You can see it's starting to work. That's another option. You can sit here and watch it if you'd like to. When it is all finished, it will end up as a zip file, and all I'll need to do is click on it. It'll be over here as a zip file. I'll click on it. It will download it to my computer. When I open the zip file, all of my reports will be in there, at which time I'll just click on them and print them. And that is how you use the batch feature to do random pairings of comparison reports if you're not trying to particularly match just 1 or 2 people together and you want to do a whole group. I hope you found this useful, and look forward to our next session to make you an Epic power user.